What's more embarrassing is that Arthur still sleeps with a stuffed animal. Don't worry, I'll get to that later.
Several months later.
Well, you guessed it. Today I'm reviewing Desperately Seeking Stanley.
Susan!
No, we're talking about the Arthur episode, not the 1985 movie. Which, by the way, I never actually watched the movie itself. To be honest, I'm not much of a movie person. But I did watch the Arthur episode, and like always, I will review the episode from start to end and add in a little sizzle. So without further ado, let's just get to it. The episode starts out with a Woogle and Arthur's teddy bear Stanley. If you're not aware, Arthur has owned Stanley since he was 3, but old age is starting to catch up with him. Stanley is gradually losing his stuffing, making his title of stuffed animal a less accurate title. The Woogle starts warning Stanley that soon he, Stanley, will have to go in the trash can. The Woogle criticizes Stanley's bad appearance, but Stanley is sure that Arthur will never throw him away. Baby Kate and Pal come into the room and Baby Kate calls out the Woogle for being mean to Stanley. Probably because she's been put through much worse. Pal tries to rescue Stanley, but I think Pal needs to read the dictionary, because rescuing someone does not mean grabbing them with your teeth and pulling them. Arthur's mom comes in and picks up Stanley, but is somehow oblivious to the fact that her daughter, a dog, and 2 toys are all having a conversation. And why does she let her baby daughter crawl around carefree? She's obviously heard of cribs. After the title card, Arthur and Brain are seen working on a school project. Arthur looks for cotton to create clouds and ends up finding some cotton that mysteriously fell from the sky. Perhaps this is proof that the clouds are made of cotton? It turns out the cotton came from Arthur's teddy bear Stanley, who has been losing stuffing from his leg. Brain suggests using the cotton for their cloud project, but Arthur doesn't really want to.
I understand. You're still attached to Stanley.
What an astute observation, Brain. Maybe we should go into your past. Later on, Mrs. Reed is seen sewing up Stanley as he's getting old and needs special care. Arthur walks upstairs and runs into DW, who wants to sell her singing fish, Thelma. Apparently, the singing fish is now broken, no surprise there, and now the only words she can sing are row, row, row your boat, row, row, row your boat. DW also plans to sell her other stuffed animals too, which sounds good of her until you remember the time that she did this to guilt her parents into buying her more toys. And of course, her plan failed miserably. Arthur refuses to sell Stanley, which causes DW to tease him.
It's because you love him. I bet you still sleep with him.
DW, I know you ain't talking, but after giving it some thought, Arthur decides to give up Stanley. At the art sale, DW tries to make profit by selling her fish toy for $1,000. You really think an annoying singing fish is worth more than your baby sister? Visita wants the fish, but apparently Mr. Molina is just as gullible as Visita.
It seems to cost $1,000.
That would only be fair if the numbers were reversed. DW leaves Visita to try out Arthur's teddy bear, and Visita immediately wants it. Arthur reluctantly sells it for $5, and Visita immediately falls in love with Stanley. However, Arthur starts to regret letting go of his teddy bear, especially after Visita renames the teddy bear Chico. That night, Arthur goes through daydreams of the good times he had with Stanley, like of how he first got Stanley when he turned 3, back in the good old days where Francine was actually nice and DW didn't even exist yet. When Arthur was 4, the Nightmare, aka DW, was born. Arthur tried to introduce Stanley to DW, only to have it slobbered on.
Sounds unbearable.
Then at age 6, Arthur tried to sleep without his nightlight, but couldn't make it through without his furry friend. Even after all these memories though, Arthur thinks Stanley would still be better off with a little kid. The next day, Arthur is doing well until he realizes that Visita is mistreating Stanley.
You want some cereal too, don't you?
No, I don't.
Eat up, Chico.
Okay, Visita should honestly lose stuffed animal owning privileges. Anyways, Arthur tells Visita not to do that, but Visita says she's gonna wash him
In the clothes dryer.
This makes Arthur worried, as Stanley hasn't endured this much pain since The Sixth Sense.
Help me, Arthur! Help me! Stuttering Stanley! Stuttering Stanley! Stuttering Stanley! Stuttering Stanley! Stuttering Stanley! Stuttering Stanley!
Arthur and Brain are then working on their school project again. Arthur asks Brain for advice, and Brain says that he felt the same way when he gave up his stuffed pig, named Plato. Of course Brain would name his stuffed animal after a philosopher. Arthur decides to get Stanley back, so he pays Visita $7 plus an eraser. Good, so now Visita can erase her mouth, because I'm tired of hearing her voice that sounds like Caillou on helium. However, Visita says that she traded Stanley for an octopus sticker, and much to Arthur's fright, she traded it to the Tibbles. Arthur is worried sick about Stanley, and he runs to the Tibbles' house. Arthur asks Grandma Tibble about the stuffed animal, and Grandma Tibble leads Arthur to a secret room that she's kept locked.
The boys are such angels, but why tempt them?
Have you been living under a rock? Anyways, the secret room is full of different stuffed animals. Arthur quickly finds Stanley, who looks good as new. It turns out Grandma Tibble fixed up Stanley, and even made a little raincoat for him. Arthur is happy to see his teddy bear again, but he decides it's better off in the attic instead. Arthur is about to leave, but decides to keep Stanley for just a weekend. But we all know Arthur's never coming back with that bear. The episode ends with an iris out, which I could have easily made on my own using, movie magic. But anyways, the episode ends, and now it's time for me to recap. I thought it was a decently good episode because it's something a lot of us can relate to. Trust me, we all had our security blankets. And when a stuffed animal or a toy goes with you everywhere for like 8 years, it can be hard to give it up. And as revealed in the episode, even Brain had a stuffed animal that he loved. As we could see, Arthur still kept Stanley, even though he felt it was immature. But let's just say, a little duck told me that he has a lot more embarrassing secrets. Speaking of which, I can't imagine what this episode would be like if Francine was in it. Francine is always picking on Arthur for things, and it wouldn't be much of a stretch to think Francine would make fun of Arthur's teddy bear too. But since Francine wasn't in this episode, they had to have a snarky character to make Arthur feel ashamed. So, they chose the sister from another mister, that is DW. But DW still sleeps with stuffed animals herself, so it was pretty hypocritical of her to make fun of Arthur. Also, we got the Dusty Floor duo in the intro of this episode, and this is honestly one of the earliest Arthur episodes where Kate, Pal, and other imaginary friends can talk. Although they did have larger roles in the not-so-great sock mystery. Anyways, I don't have much more to say about this episode. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below on what you think of this episode. My goal is to reach 3,000 subscribers by Halloween, so if we could reach that goal, that would be great. Alright, until next time.